What's good? What's good? Novel Eden. Well, I guess Daryl Omar from Novel Eden. Also proudly representing the Multicultural Writers Collective. Big ups to my group and my collective. Everyone in there is extremely talented. A lot of bestsellers, a lot of top publishers, and a lot of independent self-publishing people that are winning awards, getting number one through five in their best-selling markets and categories. It's pretty awesome getting to know these people, being able to serve them and help them, because it's if you've ever dealt with a lot of the things I write about, especially this book today, Best Friends, is about mental illness and mental health awareness. And as we celebrate Kwanzaa and people start to understand the principles of unity, I'm not going to try to say the African names for you people. I'm sorry, I'm American. But as we understand the principle of unity, being mindful of other people's mental health, being mindful of other people's triggers and boundaries and things that are very important to them, those are building blocks of a relationship, those are building blocks of a friendship, business, marketing, anything that you're going to do in life. The idea of galvanizing and unifying and getting people together rather than trying to profiteer off of division. I feel like if in 2021 we can make helping cool again, instead of having so many people feel like I didn't get successful because I helped too many other people and I didn't help myself. You can help yourself and help other people. And that's the principle of unity. If everyone's sitting at a table, I'm the table, you know? So I feel like that force is to bring people along, to bring people in, bring people together, and to focus a lot more upon the idea of getting people on the same page, getting people to consensus, getting people to support one another, rather than just being ego driven, being first person minded, and only really caring about your own ends and outs. So, with that, I'm going to start reading. Thank you for everyone that's here and that's joined in. Best Friends is, I would say it's the first real book that I wrote. I published Older Woman and New Girl before Best Friends, but Best Friends was the book that made me go, damn, I really need to revise these other two because they don't fell in comparison. And then when I remade Best Friends last year, 2019, it was a major premise to me to make this kind of my magnum opus, and that's what it's become. This book became my first international bestseller. It's become the first book to make me really feel, even though, again, I published other books before it, this was the first book I released that made me feel like, God damn, man, you're like really an author. Like, you're an actual writer now. Everything else was like kind of amateur, but just I literally spent like a week going through this book and getting all the curse words out of this book. That's how strict, the marking measure for this was. There's still great stuff within it, but I wanted to make it a little bit more family friendly. So I'm gonna try to read about 1 to 2 chapters today. Not entirely sure how far I get. If I like it, I'll read three, because the book's not that long. I think it's like, I don't remember off of the first time. It's like 200 or so pages. All right, so people dropped out. That's fine. I'll be doing this for a little bit. So in the remake of this book that's currently online, uh, the book will not start with this chapter. It starts with the following chapter, and then it goes into this chapter. I'm reading the actual hardcover copy, so I'm just going to read what is currently in the book the way that it was made last year. Okay, A Man's Glory, from the perspective of Chris Torjun. What is a man at his core? Is he his word, his wealth, his girls, or his dedication to one woman? Chris was born into the most confusing time to be a man. A time where it seemed every girl seemed to think it's a competition, and so many men were opting out of the urinal club. Chris felt like the last of a dying breed, as what it means to be a man is redefined. A man's glory. What is glory to a man? What was glory to God? Chris wondered. Chris had wondered, studied but couldn't seem to ever fully know. He rose at 5 a.m. every morning to put a day's worth of work at the local foundry for $12 an hour before attending classes. He felt alone, buried in work and barely functioning. Most nights he smoked 2 blunts without a wink of sleep. The days blurred together. Sleep was the cousin of death, so he couldn't let life pass him by. Chris thought he needed the job to get money. Money got him what he needed. Handling his needs got him girls. Chasing girls brought him to college. He's in college to get a better job to repeat the cycle until he had more money than he could spend. His girl would find a way to spend up all his life's earnings until one day he was wrinkled. Girls wouldn't bother loving him without green. Today was his payday, and his latest and longest lady wanted a night on the town. He felt conquered by exhaustion and emotional depletion, toiling for love. Working so hard to feel appreciated when his value felt so conditional. He had passed out on the 2-hour ride home in the temp agency's van, waking up at the transport depot in order to catch an hour-long bus ride to campus for his evening classes. Every day he attempted this dance, enduring and pushed because this is all a man did, right? He was raised off of late meals, lonely sporting events, and walking to school. Both parents worked with degrees. He knew a real gender role, but he never knew a real gender role, but he took great joy in being a man. Long in the tooth, stoic and self-soothing, he cared for others and protected those he loved fiercely. He craved discipline and sacrifice for his family. He refused to be controlling his life or control others. He controlled only himself. He wished someone taught him to break stoic psychosis, to know the depth of his emotions. Along came Margot Hoskadalio, a beautiful young lady with fire in her heart, green in her hazel eyes. They wanted each other the moment their eyes locked. She moved hell and earth to meet him. Heaven and hell pardoned their judgment at the chance of love. Every day the routine felt the same as their eros desire bloomed into 2 years of bipolar love. He thought he was the only one who could understand, as if she either didn't see it or didn't mind. He needed rest, and she wanted to talk about her anger, sadness, and frustrations, as he was either walking in the door or preparing to take a nap. Another day fading away. Thank you. You gotta get the exposition in there somehow. As he was either walking in the door or preparing to take a nap. Another day fading away. The line went dead after 30 minutes of arguing and explaining himself. Chris Georgian... stop. You gotta prevent the crackhead lips too. Lips get all chapped in the corners when you read. Chris Georgian was dripping wet from the fucking God. See, this is what happens when I lose my focus fucking around with Jeff. Another day fading away. The line went dead after 30 minutes of arguing and explaining himself. Chris Georgian was dripping wet from the shower and fighting tears, combating this manic and emotional dysmorphia that he once thought was love. It was obvious to anyone he and his girlfriend never saw things eye to eye. Fighting had become the only way to know from Margot to know he still cared. He was tired of fighting. Chris was in the middle of getting ready for a date they planned a week before. He needed sleep, but she reserved things for right after his shift so he wouldn't go off. She thought it was the perfect time to laundry list all the problems she rediscovered an hour beforehand. It must have been perfect timing for her. Chris had grown tired of the pattern before they were supposed to do something important. It's been a couple of years of the modern experiment of dating. The new age term from flirting, sex, arguing, and acting out every negative quality inherited from their parents before growing tired of the other. He managed the strength to look himself over in the mirror. He knew this was his last relationship. If it didn't work out, there was nothing left inside of him. He never wanted to try this again. Margot Dahlia was home, crossed between anger and worry, wondering why he hadn't called her back after hanging up on him. He used to be so noble. He had no issue fighting for her love before. She remembered the thrill of it a year ago. He would go so far out of his way to remind her he loved her. They would go out on expensive dates, buy her outfits to show off in, and the sex was mind-blowing. Now he always wanted to defend himself, to explain himself. He needed space because his feelings were hurt. The pit of her stomach told her he must have been cheating on her, so she would fight harder. It's as if he completely withdrew to his own world and she wasn't allowed in. It felt like everyone and everything made him happy but her. She wanted the joy he used to fill her with, the life and energy that used to keep her stuck on him for days on end before she needed a reminder. Now it felt barren and there was nothing to replace him. Why wouldn't he just break up with her if he wanted to so bad? It's like all he wanted to do was change her to be her father, trying to teach her some lesson. She barely listened to her own father. All she wanted was someone to enjoy these few years of college with and explore herself fully. Why did he make that so difficult? All he wanted was freedom, someone who could handle her attitude. She had no real idea what he wanted from her. The fighting no longer made her feel loved. Chris stared himself in the mirror. He was known as a handsome guy. He had skin of mahogany, a deep earthy and chocolate color, a strong jaw, and a dazzling smile. Once, anyway. However, it no longer meant anything to him. His smile had lost its way back to his face years ago, and his look always seemed burdened. He no longer recognized the exhausted, broken man staring back at him. His body shook and constricted as the phone rang, knowing it was a problem he couldn't fix, a fight he couldn't win. His view of himself had shattered, left with nothing but the dread of love. Yet his phone rang regardless, Margot's number flashing on the bathroom sink. The phone stopped ringing only a few seconds before it picked back up. He sighed, knowing it wouldn't end. He reluctantly picked up after just being cursed at. Margot greeted. Sorry about all that before, baby. Your girl is hangry. Do you still want to go out? Chris was perturbed. He hadn't wanted to go out when they formed the plans. He didn't have money for every whim and desire, nor did he have the will or the energy to keep working to satisfy them. His body demanded rest. His physiological needs were the only thing he seemed to be able to identify. How do you ignore everything you just said to me? He took his time sorting out his thoughts. I just said sorry, didn't I? That wasn't easy to do. You can't just get over it. It's like you let me have my way. Yeah, it's not like you let me have my way anyway. So you can deal. I'm hungry. So if you want me in a good mood, better take me out. Let's go. Margot continues. See, this is why I don't do voices during this thing. It really fucks up my concentration. Chris felt sick to his stomach. How much could she? How could she be so chronically self-centered and insensitive, then boldly accuses him of the same? It's like she saw no issue with her behavior. For so long he blamed himself, usually too nonchalant or indifferent to register. The pain he felt made it blatant he had no idea how to respond. He didn't want to respond. He didn't want to speak to her at all. He wanted silence and a smoke. I don't feel well. He responds distant. Man up, Chris. God, we had a little fight. You can't get over it? This used to turn you on. What about all this now? Margot sucked her teeth. Can I have some time to myself? Chris rubbed his temples. You always want time to yourself. Be a man. Excuse me for burping like that. You always want time to yourself. Be a man. You can't handle me. Be honest. Margot snickered on the other side of the phone. I am a man, Chris gritted his teeth. Act like it then. Man up and take me out to eat. If you can't deal with me with my attitude, that's on you, not me. I always get what I want, so hurry up and have a cry, then let's go. Margot hung up again. Chris stared at his phone with murderous intent. He snatched it up and smacked it down on the windowsill. He opened the wooden and vinyl blended window pane, slamming it on his phone repeatedly until the battery fell at the back. He considered tossing the pieces out of the window, glad he wouldn't have to hear from anyone again until he decided to cash in on his warranty. He abhorred his love life, the pain and hardship it brought. Who the hell tells someone to have a cry and give me what I want with a smile on their face? Chris sat on the edge of his bed with his head in his hands. He vowed to never speak to her again. Chris was hunched over naked in tears, ashamed and dripping wet with snot dripping from his nose. Chris sobbed himself out of his frenzy, wondering how he even allowed himself to be loved so poorly. As if this dance with Margot was love at all. Handsome used to mean something. Now it meant nothing. Intelligence used to mean something, but knowledge unapplied was the enemy to mastery. It now meant nothing. Charm used to mean something. Everything women seemed to love about him felt like lies out of desire and delusion. As if with Margot, all these things disappeared, fight after fight, week after week. She saw him as nothing more than a conceited know-it-all. Eventually, in her mind, one of them would cheat or walk away eventually. It was just a matter of who did it first. Nothing remained in his life but anguish and misery. The dread of believing this would be the rest of his life. She wanted a subdued, weak man to fit her whims. Yet asking her to be nice or reasonable and patient was a human rights violation. She, she needed to combat, fight, argue, and scream whenever confronted with the reality of her shadow. He never felt the same. He never felt the same need, reflecting and viewing her complaints with hopes of growing from it. Deep down, he began to believe he deserved it. Relationship after relationship, it became normal. He began to hate himself because his nature wouldn't let him hate Margot. Margot's personality was once attractive and new. He brushed it off, but it was unceasing, without reason, and unstoppable. Chris felt it must have been mutual. Every reason he once thought to be inseparable were the very reasons he wanted to leave. He couldn't take the endless fighting, anger, or frustration anymore. There was always something wrong she would never acknowledge, forget about fixing it. It was killing him inside. He never saw his friends or family anymore, being so far from home. This life was killing him, depleting him, leaving nothing left but a husk and a slave to societal image. All he felt was aloneness, either by God's design or mishap of the Dark One. He didn't know who else he had left but Margot, as she filled him with her image. There was a light knock and scratching outside the bathroom at the front door. It went on for a few minutes before he knew it was on the other side. Does he just forgive her so easily and go out to dinner, another day pretending it didn't happen? Or choose his solitude and peace of mind? What was a man's true glory? The endurance of surviving war, or the joy of a life lived in the face of hardship? Despite knowing the woman on the other side of the door was his woman, his girlfriend, he once loved so dearly, and the woman he sacrificed so much of his identity and life for to keep happy. Though none of his efforts lasts long, fuck. Though none of his efforts lasted hours of talking, poetry, gifts, and dates had no real impact on her whatsoever. It all came and went with the wind, wondering what was next all the time, instead of savoring the experience of a week prior. Her needs were a bottomless pit and her one soared to the sky. He was neglected and completely depleted. He was fighting a losing battle only God could turn around or save him from. He no longer knew what was desirable. His devotion told him to make things work and endure into marriage, but she didn't see things the same. Her desire seemed unquenchable. She worshipped materials and money. Chris couldn't risk losing his soul to sate a woman guided only by avarice and egoism. He sat quietly as the light knocks turned into banging. Come on, I said I was sorry. I'm hungry. Margot scratched, trying to coax him out. Chris felt like a prisoner of war in his own room. He hung his head in shame as she banged and screamed on the other side of his door. Open the door. Pick up your phone. I know you're in there. How dare you try to ignore me? Margot banged even harder. He didn't say any way to make things work. He chose his silence, solitude, sitting by his bed in a full lotus, continuing the meditation practice he picked up months before. It helped to his extent, but it made him realize you can calm the storm within, but there was nothing to stop the storm without. He did not know what God's glory could show him, but he knew in the moment he had himself. His mantra was a tearful apology for ever entering the relationship, for losing himself within it. Great. So that is chapter 1. So it's kind of the reason why I switched it to chapter 2, and I put this next chapter first. This next chapter is really fucking long. I'm just gonna be like as real as possible. I may not do this right now. I might skip over this chapter, and I'll do this tomorrow night or something. This chapter is long as fuck, bro. This shit's like dicky. People like little reading goals and incentives in the middle of the story, but this next chapter does not do any of that. This next chapter is like 30 fucking pages straight of just raw, fucking unadulterated awesomeness. This is how thick the second chapter is out of the book. So, actually, not gonna read that right now. You're gonna have to read that for yourself due to time constraints. I will read chapter 3, so at least you can read the other main character, Maya Herrick, and you can get a bit more depth and perspective to the story through that. But reading chapter 2 of this book is just not going to happen for you guys. Buy the book yourself. It's like $5. I think the new version of the book is like $3.99 or so. Sorry, I thought someone was messaging me. Coffee, Flings and Tea, Chapter 3 from the perspective of Maya Herrick. Yeah, I thought I saw someone message me, but I don't think I'm able to receive messages while doing this. So, sorry. If lateness were close to godliness, Chris Torgine would be out of himself. I came 15 minutes late and not so much as a text message for my troubles. If we weren't partnered for this presentation, I needn't be bothered with him. I've avoided it all year. Why the hell for my biggest final exam am I being bounded to Chris? Damn, that's a fucking typo right there. Bye bye. Good to see you. Yeah, when I first wrote this, it was from the perspective of a character named Jared. But Jared became more of an ensemble accessory character, and I'll do like a backstory on Jared. Jared's probably gonna get his own book entirely. So if you're reading chapter 3 and you see Jared, it's supposed to be Chris. I just had no idea it was even still in there. My bad. Why the hell am I being bound to Chris? He's notorious for being uncommunicative, tardy, and far more lax than any human deserves to be, but he was freaking smart. Hey Maya, sorry, lost track of time and then I had to catch the bus to get here. Hope you weren't waiting too long. His bright smile was comforting on such a dreary day. He came dressed in his pea coat, a pair of jeans and a basic t-shirt. Only Chris can make such a plain outfit look fashionable. No worries, you're only what? I glanced at my wristwatch. Half an hour late after I came 15 minutes. So 45 minutes late. Nearly an hour of my life late. That's definitely worth a frappe and a scone at least, I let out a sigh. I chose the quaint cafe sitting along the waterfront. He said he'll never be been along with a million other excuses to avoid coming. I thought it would help to build some rapport by killing a few birds with one stone. It was a beautiful view of the Tigris River running through New Haven. I loved the location but never had the funds to afford this place. He is definitely paying me back for my time. This place is swank. He looks around as he hangs his coat on the back of his chair. Do I need an arm or a leg to get some coffee? Coffee is a kidney. Tea is a limb of your choosing. Don't worry. I know the owner and a few waitresses. They give me a major discount. It's only a foot or a finger for an iced frappe and a scone. Left or right? I grab the butter knife as he sits. So just a couple fingers then? His smile was contagious, all pearly whites. He had a softness that didn't belong in his model-esque ebony face, boyish and handsome with the sternness of an old man. So did you have any ideas for what you wanted this presentation to be about? I was thinking we could steer clear away from knocking and equine politics, do something a bit more scientific and documented. I really can't afford to get esoteric and historical this time around. Chris begins sorting through his backpack, fishing out books and tomes with sticky notes along the pages. He grabbed a beat-up notebook, the spirals crushed from the overpriced textbooks. Whew. Oh, wow, that's a workout. A waitress had been staring at me since Chris sat down. She was otherwise uninterested in me the entire time I sat here. She began speaking to the server who got me my water, pointing at our table. I gave a wave, hoping to get some service. Both of the servers sorry, this part's funny as hell. Both of the servers scowled at me, then made their agreement. I thought Rebecca was so nice too. I wonder what I did. Hey Chris, Hey, Chris, can I get you tea with honey and a bit of milk? Our waitress's eyes lingered on Chris, who let out a sigh. His smile faded. Hello, Margot. I'm actually not that thirsty, but you can help my friend here if you kindly. He says, flatly tapping his fingers on his notebook. Do I want to know how these two know each other? Are you going to introduce me to your friend? Hi, Chris, his friend. I'm Margot. Her smile was nightmare fuel as she glared at me. She's my assigned partner for our final project. There's nothing happening here, Margot. He rubs his temples. If you could excuse us, I think we still need a moment. I pop up politely, shrinking in my seat. She looks me over, sizes me up before nodding, leaving with a smug smile. I felt embarrassed how easily he wrote me off as a lab partner. I mean, I thought we were at least friends or something. Margaret was cackling with her friend, waiting for us to leave. Reassured, she still had a grip on her bow, as if he was some poppet. Poppet, not puppet. If you ever saw Hood of Horrors, you know what a poppet is. The second one, not the first one. It's like the giant freaking monster. It's like these black dolls from like minstrel period, Jim Crow period, and like the poppet comes to life and like eats this white woman or something like that. I don't fully remember it, but it's like really dark and fucked up. So I don't know. I like the use of it. I like the word poppet. You're welcome. Sorry, that's actually in the book, so I'm actually reading. You're welcome. I finally take a deep breath and then exhale. Can we go? I know about 10 other places, sans old flames, and past romances. Chris rubs his temples. Who is she? Dude, she's terrifying. Holy crap. I whisper out of fear she would turn around and start even more drama, but I was going to stand my ground. He stands up. Come on, let's get out of here. Nope. I want more details, then we can leave. Besides, I need a coffee before and after dealing with all this drama you bring, and you are paying for me. I say, firmly crossing my arms over my chest. He weighs his options and sits reluctantly, but sits regardless. Okay, the abridged version is, oh no no no, I haven't even gotten my coffee yet, and we have plenty of time. I want the whole story. Don't push your luck, Maya. You get the gist, and you get coffee, then we leave. He stands up and crosses the room to Margot. She beams as he approaches. They share a cold embrace, but enough to sate her at work. Her coworkers seemed equally enthralled to see him. Chris was an infamous campus gigolo his freshman year. I can see why and would be a liar if I wasn't hoping this evening didn't end up with him and I, especially now. Margot remained surprisingly cordial throughout their exchange. By the looks of his face as he returns, he hated my guts. Their meeting was as brief as he hoped. I got a bit of pleasure from it. Happy? He groans as he sits. Your coffee will be here in a minute. I never told you what I wanted, I muttered. You said frappe like 50 times. Oh, we care about what the other wants now? Thanks for the trip down memory lane, an excursion I could have went without, but whatever. Now she'll be calling me far too much, he says matter-of-factly. The stress had already left his voice. I have to remember, this is a norm for him. He sits trying to collect his thoughts. Alright, I had class with Margot. We hooked up on a train going home. We spoke for a bit. She wanted more than I was willing to give. We drifted away. Then we ended up shacking. Wait, what the? Are you gonna pretend you didn't say you had sex on a train? I can't hide my laughter. Chris shrugs. It happens. No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen to anyone ever, I continue. How was it? It was rushed and uncomfortable, he says curtly, shifting uneasily in his sheet. Was she not good at it? I asked. Look, I'm not a fan of kissing and telling. His smile fades altogether as he taps his hand on the table. You do like the kissing part, though, evidently, I chuckle. He looks mortified. You're enjoying this way too much, Maya. Can we focus on our project? I don't want to hear you complaining again. I put a lot of work into our last project. I did days, literal days in the library of research. Margot is great. I really need to focus right now. If we're going to stay, can we at least work so this doesn't mess up my rotation? You're a chauvinist, I say, offended. I don't even want to talk about this with you. Damned if I do, damned if I don't. Call me whatever you want. Can we get this project done? He said, unmoved. I relented with a sigh. A day with a gigolo who's disinterested in talking about his escapades seems lackluster. Makes you curious how many he's actually been with. 10? 100? 70? 3? I've heard many things, but nothing more than whispers of schoolgirls. Rumors could corrupt everything. Negative energy was contagious. I never really knew how many women he slept with or dated. It seemed like sleeping with Chris was a notch on your belt. I never really knew how many women he's. Oh, I'm sorry around the part. I could relate, though my culture is less embarrassed about such things. I didn't understand why they were trying to hide their relationship. I can't get past this, bro. I feel assaulted by your drama and want to know what I got myself into, Chris. I looked in the corner of my eyes as my frappe sat melting as she tended to Chris's tea. I'm not dating anyone right now. We have, it's this off again, on again relationship. I don't really understand it, but I'm in it. Tisk tisk, you got yourself in a situationship. No title and no good. You didn't even update your relationship status, but keep posting about this stupid Mob Wars game. The game posts automatically. I play it on my phone, okay? Sometimes I play it on PC. Maybe I want to play social media games without using social media. Chris gets lost in his rationalizations. Okay, whatever you're saying, sure. My point is that you're in the wrong. If she's your girlfriend, then you should be proud of that fact. Why would someone want to date you if you're not even going to acknowledge that you're together? I've been with more women than none and far less than the rumors imply. Why? Why don't you guess? He leans back in his chair, wrapping his hands behind his head with a smirk. I'm curious of what you think of me. I bite my lip, staring around in my mind to find a number that's practical but not insulting. I take a deep breath and shrug. 20? He raises a brow. Not bad. Not right, but not bad. Want to guess again? I don't want to play this game, Chris. I'm sorry if I insulted you or whatever, but please, I'm genuinely curious of what you think. No offense to you, but I'd rather not be working with a woman who thinks I'm a raving sex addict. There are many beautiful women in the world. Sometimes beauty isn't everything. He looks away in reflection, falling quiet. I blush, looking away. I mean, I don't think that. I just think you get around more than most. I mean, for good reasons, I hear. You're a good guy. People are going to want to be around you. Some people are women. You don't need to be inside every woman you see to That's one of my favorite lines of any book I've wrote. You don't need to be inside every woman you see to enjoy the human experience. I suddenly find myself in dire need of another interruption from Margot as I begin preaching at him. I want to know, but do I risk insulting him? He's late and a bit unreliable, but the man's far from stupid. He was one of the highest averages in the class, completing for the number one position. He walks out on this. If he walks out on this, I lose an easy A. I don't disagree with you and manage pretty well. You're a woman. You know what girls are like. What girls be like. I'm sorry. Said you know what girls are like when they want someone. He shrugs. It's another typo there. What does that even mean? Women are different. Not every girl is going to push up on you and try to seduce you. A woman will only come at you like that if you show that's all it takes. It's easy to spend $50 on a sundress and thong for a dude to spend $500 on you. Call it hustling. Some women actually want more. I insisted. Show me one. He looks over his shoulder to see Margaret approaching with 2 cups. Okay then, how long have you two been together? I asked, not even knowing that they had ever met. He pauses, tapping his finger to his lip. I've had the opportunity to get 100% of this project. It's the easiest project since I've gotten to college, but it's rare I find someone worth my effort, Maya. Can you please get out of my relationship life? I'm a bit of a serial monogamous, or at least like familiarity. I've had sex with about 30 women. I'm generally speaking to about 3 women at a given moment, but for attention, not sex. I don't even really live that life anymore. So if you had to know, that's everything. Can we please move forward? Chris whispers shouts as she gets closer. I'll let you live. I back off, not wanting to get banned from this place. I need him to get. I need him to get. I need him to get her schedule so I know which days she doesn't work. I had a few guys in my DMs who would die to take me here. I could try a few items in the menu on their tabs and ghost on them. Here you go, Margot says with a disarming delightfulness, making me forget she had tried to skin me with her eyes. Thank you for the tea, Margot. Chris graciously accepts his tea. Of course, baby. It's in the house for you, sweetie. For someone who seemed disinterested, he sure was milking this whole thing. Margot turns to me with her plastic smile and pleasantries, setting down my coffee with a dour scowl. Sorry, our ice machine is broken, so I got you a hot coffee. It looks like you like your coffee black. Margot could have poured it in my lap and I would have been less offended. I saw my drink sitting on the ice tray, and she walked right past it to pour a mean cup of coffee. Can I get some cream and sugar? I asked. You definitely can. Ask for some from the barista or bartenders at the coffee bar. Margot instructs me, turning her focus to so it's on the table. Chris notes, pointing to the small dish of sugar and micro creamers. She's strained at him, helping me, tapping her fingers on Chris's shoulder. Can I get either of you anything else? She doesn't bother turning to me. No. I think I'm fine. He scratches his goatee. How about you, Maya? No, I say far too quickly. I just wanted her gone. When she did glance at me, it felt as if she was imagining stabbing my coffee steers through my eyes. I'm sorry. No, I'm fine. Chris chuckles at my missteps as Margot nods. He doesn't bother pretending to look at her walking. He doesn't pretend. He doesn't bother pretending not to look at her walking down the tables. Her body was far shapelier from the back, slender legs leading up to her top butt. She's a dancer, he informs me. I turned back to his wide grin. He looked bothered. She's a bit two-faced, you know that? I don't hate her. It was just inopportune seeing her. We spoke a bit back there, and she said she understands. She's really a nice person when you get to know her. The whole thing can just be a bit draining, you know? I don't want to talk about it. What? What? He takes a moment to sip his tea. I'm sorry, what exactly are you wedding? What do you two speak about? He raises a brow. I fail to see why it's any of your concern. He's barely able to keep a straight face. Last time I hear, I spoke. Last time her and I spoke, she dropped a love bomb. It wasn't a good time. She wasn't speaking about marriage. She was speaking about marriage and kids. We're only in our 20s. I'm not interested in. I'm interested in her. I'm just not sure what the future holds. I'm trying to read from memory, but also read what's on the paper at the same time. That's not working out, so I'm just gonna read what's on the paper. Hopefully not STDs, I mutter. He nearly spits out his tea. I'll drink to that. He raises his mug. I haven't had any. I remember having added my sugar or cream, drinking a bitter cold coffee like her hatred for me. I just want to enjoy myself while I'm in college, you know? Not get bogged down or cuffed. Why didn't your girlfriend make my coffee like your tea? Hopefully he was aware I wasn't ignoring him. I honestly didn't have much to respond with. I suppose I agree. I quiver as I look at the artificial sugar on the table, while brown sugar floated in his coffee. Why do you think he pushes the sugar towards me? She doesn't value continued service. I push my coffee away. Give me your tea. He shakes his head. His laugh was already contagious, but seemed to grow warmer with each sip he took. Dude, take that cup of hatred your girlfriend gave me. Give me your freaking tea. I need this to deal with your crap. I felt like ripping out my hair. Your competition, I sigh, in her eyes anyway. Neither really my type, if I'm honest. You have major chips on your shoulders. I'm just living and growing, learning from everybody. I don't understand how women keep ending up in my life. I'm honestly not even trying to run game. You don't think I'm attractive? I asked in shock. Oh, whoa, hold on there. I never said you didn't catch my eye. I said you weren't my type. Completely different. It's more like a capability thing. You mean compatibility? I suck my teeth, rolling my eyes. No, you smart aleck. I'm talking about your capability, longevity, and practicality. Like, I could spend 5 weeks in a room with you without blowing my brains out type deal. Am I capable of surviving your drama and my drama together? My intuition says, nah. You wouldn't date me? I need someone who follows my lead, not stepping on my toes. I need someone who listens without putting words in my mouth. It's not about you. It's about me wanting to be happy more than I want to be lusted over. He crosses his legs and arms, turning away. You're not going anywhere, I groaned. Last time I checked, we're at the same place in life. All you're doing is projecting your trauma at me. I'll keep my personality over here. You keep your personality over there, and we fill the distance with something more meaningful. He returns my dread. Wow, you're a heartbreaker, I say. I dodged that bullet. I didn't notice how he looked at me before. Behind that sweet smile and laughter was a hunger. A hunger I'm not sure I can sate. I tried to hide my lip biting as I stirred enough cream to justifiably call my coffee milk, but I kept peeking up to notice his meandering gaze passing by as he pretended to look around. You're quite handsome, Torsion. I say, stirring my coffee. She always says his name wrong, so I'm gonna say his name wrong. It's Torjun, but she like always fucks his name up. I say, stirring my coffee. He nods unmoved by the sentiment he must hear far more often than it appears he likes. I would have been glad to partner with you if you ever showed up to class. He chuckles. I usually stop by our office. Don't tell me that. I grin, breaking into laughter. Are you and Miss? No, she's married, he laughs. I did try though. Really? No, I'm not that depraved. I'm just messing with you. Christ. Am I supposed to know? You're charming enough to sway her. I feel like she would have been lucky. He actually blushes. If he was capable of a genuine look of shock, he quieted it down and looked over his shoulder. You look antsy. Well, Margot's glaring at us. I hear women aren't fond of seeing a man they're interested in having fun without him, he whispered. Was the sex good? He hesitated, reading my face before continuing on. Eventually got better. She's willing to please, has no idea what she's doing, though. I really just enjoyed seeing her naked. Her body is absolutely perfect. Wish she did more with her flexibility. He stopped speaking. His eyes drift off to space. I glance over at Margot. Does she truly love him, or was the sex just that good? Or both? So what do you want to do for this project, he asks, redirecting us to the reason we came here to begin with. He pushes his tea aside. I'm thinking about researching seasonal depression, finding some homeopathic cures, and maybe we can turn it into a paper if it was reviewed well by Prof. I nod. Why seasonal depression? Sometimes I get a bit blue when it's cold. I want to get some information under my belt before I'm left facing the black dog without a leash. Killing a few birds with one stone, I see. Basically. So are you down? Yeah, I guess so. We'll be seeing much more of each other, huh? I sipped my coffee. It was getting frosty. I should have spent less time yapping. I look forward to it, as well as the likelihood of running to one of your trysts. I was under the impression you wanted me to yourself. His smile faded and his hunger was more than aware. He leaned in, lacing his fingers with mine. Are you trying to get out of here? Not today. I have no interest in being just another story you refuse to share. When we have sex, I'll mean something. When? You're sure of it, aren't you? Do you think I'm passing up on this opportunity? Not on your life, buddy. I stand up, tossing my purse over my shoulder. However, on that note, I think I'll dip out of here before we move too quickly, you know? His eyes watched me far more intently than he paid mine to Margot. Once again, this was taken from another scene. Margot's name used to be Tiffany. So I guess I'll just fix some of this stuff as I read it. The way he bit his thumb let me know the view was more than satisfying. I filled out my leggings far better than she did. A few years dancing can't compete with a lifetime of track and education from the military. You're quite beautiful, Maya. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm not looking for anything physical right now. About time you apologized, I gave him a wink, leaving him all for Margot to pluck up. I felt his eyes following me as I sashayed toward the trolley, letting them tend to the bill. Alright, so that is Best Friends. It's like a little fuck up there. That has nothing to do with me, it has a lot more to do with Amazon. But thank you for joining me for nearly 45 minutes of your life. Feel free to grab the book yourself and read ahead of me. That would be great. Ebook and print versions available. The print version is only $5 right now, so there's really not a good reason not to get the book if you enjoyed this. And plus, you can read at your own speed. Not trying to really sell you on shit. Not really trying to be like overly fucking OD about it, but it's a pretty damn good book. It's really picking up into a lot of the drama. The first chapter that I read, Man's Glory, was written for the second version of Best Friends. I do not have the first version downstairs, but it's upstairs. This book is like now currently twice the size that it formerly was when it first got published. It was first published in 2018, I believe, and then republished in 2019, or maybe 2017, 2019, if I remember correctly. But I don't know. A Man's Glory was written post production probably 2018. That's when I started making the second version. And the scene that I read, Coffee, Flings and Tea, was actually written in about 2014. It was like either 2012, 2013 or 2014. Coffee, Flings and Tea was written. So this book took about that long to make. I would say about 5 to 6 years to finish. So it took a little while. Let me bookmark where I'm at. I'm done, by the way. This was it. I really just need to find where I was at. See, I gotta do one thing at once. But you can leave if you want to. I'm not gonna read anymore. You have to like watch it this after this point. The next chapter, Living in Hell, though, is great. It's a great chapter. I'll read more tomorrow. So if you enjoyed it, probably around the same time tomorrow, I'll be here. So, laters, much love, peace, and happy Kwanzaa.